Good morning once again. Welcome to the Truth Channel. Welcome to the place where the fullness of truth only awaits your recognition. When we recognize what is, we know that all is, and all is ours. Today's title is Consciousness is What I Am. Consciousness is what I am. This is recording number 912. Today's date, November 9th, 2025. And I really believe that, there are some people who get these papers that they can follow along with the sermon. I really believe that the people who don't get to hear the message, I really believe that they will miss out on a great revelation, because that revelation is not necessarily visible on the sheet of paper, and yet it is. But you have to look for it. And in looking for it, we realize that God has given unto us something that is so grand. Like I said, I truly believe, I'm building this up, and I truly believe that it is going to meet my expectation. Consciousness is what I am. Our background scripture, Jesus saith unto him, have I been so long with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that has seen me has seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? When we look at that statement, we see Jesus is revealing something that is not shown to the naked eye. He's saying, me being with you these 3 years, you should know who I am. You should be able to see beyond my exterior, and you should be able to see something that is so grandiose that your heart wants it, your heart can't beat without desiring it, and you know that once you receive it, it is going to be everything that you ever expected or desired. Such as when Peter responded with, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus spoke to him and said what? Something beyond the five senses. Something beyond these miracles that you're seeing. Something beyond these amazing things that I'm doing. Something has revealed itself to you. Now, even though Peter's life still needed some cleansing, even though it still needed some things to be worked out, Peter saw something that was over the top. Over the top. We're going to come back to these scriptures as we go through, but I want to bring this out. Listen, every law works by principle. Every law. Every law. There's not a law in this universe that doesn't work by a principle. That principle is in agreement with itself. Okay? It never says, but what if? It's in total agreement. It changes not. The law of life, it is called, and it is what? Perfect. It functions after its own authority. It doesn't look to ask, to question, or to even think if it can do something. It knows that its every move is already established. It cannot be challenged or manipulated to produce an effect other than after its own substance or kind. The same was in the beginning with God. What same? It's principle. John chapter 1, verse 1. What does it say? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That word that says in the beginning was the Word, that word is logos. In the beginning was the organized principle that governs everything. You need to see that. This law is in the beginning, and in it is the fulfillment of itself. There is nothing that can come against it. There is nothing that can question it. It is what it is, and it is all that it is. And within it is the fulfillment of everything. That means it has already seen the end from the beginning. It is Alpha. It is Omega. It is the beginning. It is the end. It is the law of life. It is the light of law. It is the allness. It stands complete. Now, the scriptures make us think, because we use our five senses, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. We're starting to put these things in formations and images so we can understand. But in reality, think about the fact that there's something, we call it God, we call it whatever name we give it, Jehovah, omnipotence, omnipresence. We call it all these different names. And yet, it just is. It's complete, lacking nothing. It is organized. It fills all space. It's everywhere. There is nothing that is not complete where it is. So therefore, we can see now that Jesus standing before 5,000 people, whereas the people are seeing what? The disciples are seeing people in need of food. What is Jesus looking at? He's looking at that law that says, I am complete right here. Can you see it? He's looking at that law that says, there is no place where there is an absence of food. There is no place where there is an absence of shelter, health. There is no place where there's an absence of intelligence. Jesus is seeing this. This is a law. And this law is the law of life, and it is perfect. As I said to some members on another class the other day, we are told that Jesus says, in my Father's house, there are many mansions. This law, y'all need to catch this. This law is what? This law is the house. So in my Father's house, there are many mansions. What do you think those mansions are? That's right, us. So every person, whether it was eons ago or eons in the future, are located where? In the Father's house. Y'all need to catch this. There are no bad people on this planet, because the Father's house is the universal, organized, disciplined, perfect law of life. And it houses everything. It houses the trees, it houses the animals, it houses the water, it houses every symbol, formulas, everything. So in my Father's house are many what? Mansions. So we see somebody going off to the left, that's a mansion. We can't see somebody going off to the left because where are they located? In the Father's house. So everything in the Father's house is on its way where? To the understanding of the Father, the fulfillment of the Father. That's why Jesus says, pray for your enemy. Because there are no enemies in the Father's house. There's only mansions. Well, so-and-so is not acting right. Where are they located? In the Father's house. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love the Father as yourself. But that's hard. It's not hard when you understand that this house is full of the organized, disciplined fruitage of God. And it's there waiting on your recognition of it being there. And you have no need to ask of it anything. Woo! I hope that didn't slip past you. How have you prayed to God in the past? Father, I need. Father, right? Please help me with this. But wait a minute. You're in the Father's house, and everything in the house is fulfilled. What happens if your consciousness flips and realizes I have everything? There is nothing that I have need of. Look at yourself now, how you're beginning to walk this path here in the earth. Remember last week we talked about if our earthly house be dissolved, if you didn't have a body, you have a body eternal in the heavens, right? Where is that body located? In the house. You cannot be separated from God because you are a mansion in the house. And that's why we groan in these bodies. Once we are able to see this allness that's just sitting there waiting on our recognition, we change our thoughts and our verbiage. We change it from seeking to receiving. How do I do that? I am in the Father's house, and everything that the Father's house is flowing to his mansion 24 hours a day. When I look to see something that has a need, I correct it because the Father's house is complete, fulfilled. Look at it. Look at some of the things you think you need right now. I don't care what it is, how small it is or how large it appears to be. Now look at it being fulfilled. If you had a choice of which one to choose, which would you choose? You choose fulfillment, wouldn't you? Why? Because the Father is saying, I was before the beginning. Get it? And I set myself up to fulfill my creation with everything it needs. Therefore, when it comes to a revelation that I am with them, then the flow automatically begins to come to your awareness. You are no longer walking around saying, I need. You're walking around recognizing the fact that the flow is flowing into your experience, and it is functioning because you recognize it. You may have to come back and listen to this again and again. But believe me, when you stop trying to get, the only thing you can do is receive. Who determines whether I am seeking to get or being still to receive? I do. Get it? That's why it says, Be still and know. No. Be still and know what? Be still and know that there is a law waiting on what? Recognition. It's waiting on discipline, dedication. It's waiting on acceptance. You mean, no, you don't have to work by the sweat of your brow. No, you don't have to make deals. It's sort of like I got a friend that tells me a lot of times, he says, you know, a lot of people don't believe in God. And I said, yeah. He said, but I do. I said, yeah, I know you do. He says, I try to tell them about 3 jobs that came to me and I never filled out an application for any one of them. Does that make sense to y'all? I'm going to say it again. He received 3 jobs over a span of 3-4 years, right at a time when job number 1 was getting ready to end. He was approached for job number 2 when he didn't know how he was going to get another job, and job number 3. He never filled out an application until he was basically hired, and they had to put applications on file to show that he had gone through the process. You see, these are the types of things that come to us that let us know that when you are ready, when you are willing, these things are going to come to you because of your recognition. Now, that doesn't mean you just sit up and go, I want a new car, I want a house, I want to go to here. But that will come in time, okay? Because you start to realize that these things are pouring into your life without you praying. You are the prayer. Your recognition of the love of God starts this thing to flow. Every law works by a principle. The law of life is perfect, satisfying the soul. The same law. This law was in existence before anything material, as we call it, shows up. The same was in the beginning with God. Like I said, in the beginning was the Word, the established way that all things are going to come into being. And how do they come? They come by the desire of the one who created the process. What am I saying to you? All these people walking around saying, I am blessed and highly favored. They got the words, but they don't have the understanding. If I'm blessed and highly favored, I don't have to tell you, do I? Look at this scripture here, John 1, 2, and 3. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. We have taken that, and now look in your consciousness, in your awareness, and look at how many pictures you made as I was reading that. All things, see, look where your head goes. It's looking at trees and right? Flowers and birds and people. All things were made by him. Now we got an individual, don't we? That's not what that's saying. All things were made by this universal love. You mean the shoes that I'm going to wear a year from now? Yeah, they're already made. The food I'm going to, yeah, it's already made. Where is it? It's in this logos. It's in this the way that you prepare for your kids. Your children don't know that their parents are getting high water, do they? They just go out and play. But you notice when they walk through the room and you go, oh, those pants get a little hot. And what do you start doing? You start preparing to get the next size, don't you? Yeah. See? Now, a child might go to school and get their feelings hurt because somebody might look at them and say, why y'all, what's wrong? You know, where you get them out? You expecting a flood? And they come home with this droopy face and you go, what's wrong, baby? So-and-so hurt my feelings. They told me my pants were high water. And they look down and say, and they are. Well, let's go to the store. See, God is saying, I have prepared for you a life of plenty. If you will recognize, I will begin to flow to you the clothes of the next phase of your life before you even know you need them. The same was in the beginning. I'm talking about a law. I want you to see a law. I want you to get out of your head going to a man named Jesus and asking him to provide for you, because this law has already provided for you and it's waiting on your recognition of acceptance. God has provided all things. And I will be still and love him with all my heart, knowing that he loves me. And whatsoever things are necessary for my experience are going to reveal themselves visibly. Why? Because I have recognized the law. I have recognized that presence that is what? Always with me, everywhere, powerful, and all-knowing. I walk around, recognize all things were made by this law, and without this law, there was not anything made that was made. In this law was life. What did God say about eternal life? Jesus say about eternal life. He said, you shall know God aright. What is knowing God aright? Knowing that I cannot be separated from this life. Nothing shall separate me. Isn't that what Paul said? Yeah. Nothing shall separate me from the love of God. Why? Because he took the time. He took the time to contemplate the law, y'all. Are y'all feeling me? Yeah. Stop contemplating what the law can do for you. Contemplate the law. What is the law? The law is all loving. The law is all forgiving. The law is constant in judgment. The law is what? Patient, kind. Contemplate the law. Stop looking for what the law needs to do for you and contemplate it. As you see what it is being revealed to you that it is doing what? It is life, and it is expressing its love. Oh, that men would taste and see and recognize that God is love. Well, I read that, yeah, but do you know what that love feels like? And I'm not talking about it putting a car in your yard. I'm not talking about it putting clothes in your closet. It putting food. Because you got to look past the car. You got to look past the closet. You got to look past the money in your wallet. And you got to see him. This is what Jesus is saying up here. Have I been so long with you that you don't see what I am, who I am, where I am, how I am, and when I am? Philip, what are you looking at? When you see me, oh my God, when you see me, you're seeing that law in performance. How close to me is that law, y'all? Closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. You mean, yeah. that law cannot be taken away from you. Yeah, but people are dying every day. If your earthly body be dissolved, doesn't it say that you have a body that's eternal? You have to be able to see that law. What can wash away? Nothing but the blood. What is the blood? The Spirit. Can you walk in the consciousness of Jesus Christ? I was talking to some people the other day, and they had been told that nobody on this planet is going to walk in the consciousness of Jesus Christ. And they said, well, what about the works that he did? Oh, no, that means you're going to go down here and you're going to give out food, or you're going to give, shelter. You're going to bring aid when hurricanes come and whatnot. They said, but what about the greater works? No, that doesn't mean that you're going to do these greater works. Well, why did he say, go forth in my teaching and do what? Raise the dead. Isn't that what he said? Yeah. Raise the dead, open the eyes of the blind, and that's on two levels. On one level, you are able to have them see that this world we're living in has some things, some qualities about it that are not just recognizable to the senses. And then we're going to see, wait a minute, there was a man in this world that walked on water. Come on, y'all. He walked through walls. He raised up physically dead bodies. Does that not let you know that there's something going on here? That doesn't meet the eye, and yet we're saying, God, make sure I get my bill paid. And God is going, you need to see past that bill. You need to see me. Well, who are you, Lord? What did Peter say when they were out there in the boat fishing? And they caught all those fish? Didn't Peter forget those fish? Yeah. And make a statement like, oh, wretched man? Didn't Paul say, oh, wretched man? What? Who will release me from the confines of the sense perception world? And Jesus said, I'm come that you might be released. In him was life. What was Jesus giving to the people? See, if you see he was only feeding them, sheltering them, what's the other thing? Feeding, shelter, protecting them, healing them. If that's what you see, you missed it. What was he giving them? He was giving them a law. He was giving them the recognition of something that's working with them 24 hours a day, waiting on one thing, recognition. You don't believe me? Ask Jesus, did he know if that lady with the issue of blood? Ask him if he knew she was in the crowd. What do you think he'd say? No. So how did she get healed? She got healed because she recognized that law. She saw beyond what was going on in this world, and she says, if I can touch the hem of, she thought, his clothes, but what was she actually saying? If I can just touch a little understanding of that law that he's living in, I will be made whole. And that law was the life and light of men. What am I saying to you? What am I pushing at you constantly today? Go sit down and contemplate that marvelous, wonderful law that you call God, and you feel like you're separate from it. You feel like you got to meet some kind of a condition to get in his presence, and hopefully he won't blow you up while you're in there trying to tell him what you need, when all you got to do is look at what happened on the day when Jesus was crucified. Did not the curtains that hid away that holiness? What is that holiness? That holiness is the law. The curtain was torn from top to bottom, opening up the way, what? To the Holy of Holies. All symbolic of a divine position that you hold with God. Come as you are. Come on in here. I don't care how dirty you think you are. Well, wait a minute. You don't care how dirty I think I am? No. Why not? Because my thoughts are not like your thoughts. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Come as you are. Come on in here. I won't turn you away. Though you think, well, why do I think that I'm just not worthy? Well, you should know how to answer that. Somebody told you, didn't they? Come on now. Somebody told you that because of Adam and Eve sinning, you are paying the price for it. So then you start walking around going, I am unworthy, and you start putting that unworthy on everybody. Well, if I'm unworthy, they unworthy, right? Yeah. I know if I go to hell, this one over here going to bust hell wide open. No. God is saying, I put a law within you. God can't put a law in you without putting himself in the law. Oh. Yeah. I'm that good. Now, out here in my earthly life, I got some issues. But every time I stumble and bumble and fall, what am I supposed to do? Get up and recognize the law, because the law is going to forgive me if my heart is disciplined to understanding God, and it's going to wipe that thing away from me and say, get up, what's his name, Joshua? Get up, stand in the camp, dust yourself off, let's go. Yeah, but what, I don't want to talk about that. Are you sorry that you did that? Yes, I am. Well, let's go. Let's go on. This is what's coming to us. The law of life is described in the book of James as the perfect law of liberty. James says that a man walks and he looks where? He looks in the perfect law of liberty. What does he see in that law? Oh, that mirror. He sees the law, doesn't he? He may think. See, let me stop you. Throw that mirror away. See, a man looks in a mirror. What does he see? He sees his own face. James says you're looking in the perfect law. What are you seeing in the perfect law? You're seeing yourself as the perfect law sees you. It's the perfect law of liberty. What is liberty? Freedom. So does the law of God ever see you confined? Come on. Does the perfect law of liberty, what does liberty stand for? Freedom. Does it ever see you confined? No. Who sees you confined? You do. Peter is arrested and put in a prison, right? With shackles on both arms and soldiers beside the shackles. Shackles on his arms and shackles on his feet, right? What do you think Peter was looking at while he's sitting in that jail cell? He's looking at the law. He's not asking the law to set him free, is he? He's looking at the law. And does the law see him free? My Bible says the shackles fell off. The guards did not wake up. The door opened. by itself, and he stood up and walked by the sentry standing at the door, walked by other sentries standing in the hallway, and he came to himself where? In the courtyard, back in the world where he's living, and he thinks he's dreaming until he realizes, I am free. He looks in the perfect law of liberty. Paul states in 2 Corinthians 13:5, what does he say? Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Y'all ever seen the dogs and the cats and whatnot when they lay down and examine themselves? And they're scratching, they're looking at their skin and they're removing things. You're supposed to be looking in your conscience, in the things that you believe. You look there and you see, where am I holding a belief of fear? Where am I holding a belief in retribution, guilt, poverty, anger? You getting it? That's what he's saying. Examine yourselves whether you be in faith. If you're in faith, you're looking at the law. If you're not in faith, you're looking at those things. He says, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Jesus Christ is in you. The perfect principle, except you be reprobates. A reprobate is a person who is immoral, not following after discipline law, not good for anything to help anybody. So examine yourself. Do you want to be a reprobate? No. Well, then what? Look at the law. Look at the law. Just keep looking at it. Guess what? In 2 Corinthians 3:18, y'all know that to be my favorite scripture. It says, but we all with open face, as looking in a glass, meaning mirror, are changed into the very image. What's the glass? We're looking in the perfect law of liberty. We're looking beyond our faults and shortcomings. We're looking in the law of liberty. And as James says, we don't walk away forgetting who we are. We walk away with an understanding that my love for God prevails over my shortcomings. And because my love for God, I practice it, it is going to do what? It is going to change me into the very image of what I'm looking at. What am I looking at? The perfect law of liberty. What is the perfect law of liberty? I'm in the house of God, and everybody on the planet is in that house. Hello? So I look at them as being worthy, even though they're not acting worthy. I look at them as being, and I look at them because I realize that's who they are, not because the scriptures tell me that's what I should be doing. Because we're all on our way to heaven. Some of us are just delaying it. Some of us are just delaying it. But is that going to stop me? No. That's why Paul says, henceforth know we no man, how? After his flesh. Yeah. I may have to leave because I don't like the way you acting. I may have to not be partake of what you're doing because it's not conducive, but I'm still seeing you what? As the love of God on your way to the fulfillment of God, because I am not a reprobate. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. I can do all things through that perfect law that's dwelling within me and my recognition of that law. I'm recognizing there is a law irrevocable in the heavens by which all things come to pass. Some people call that word irrevocable. But it's irrevocable. It means the same thing. What? That law cannot be changed. And as I'm looking at that law, don't you think it's odd that all I got to do is look at it and believe it? Because when I look at it and believe it, it begins to do what it do. Okay? It begins to do what it does. I just need to be patient. It is I, through conscious alignment with this perfect law, this perfect principle, already established within me. Well, that's an acceptance, isn't it? Once I understand that that law is already established within me, then it is I who brings about my freedom and that of others as well. Do you think Jesus walked around with an understanding of that law? And because he understood it, was he able to bring about the freedom of those who believed? They tell me that Peter was set free. They tell me Philip was set free. They tell me that Mary Magdalene was set free. They tell me that many people were set free. The Roman centurion was set free. 1 Corinthians, as we start to close out here, 9:19 through 21. I want to show you how this law is working in the life of Paul. For though I be free from all men. How is he free from all men? He sees the law. He honors that law. He knows now that nothing can have power over him because of the law. I've been crucified with Christ, but nevertheless I live. It's no longer I that live, but Christ now lives my life. The law is living his life. So he's saying, for though I be free from all men, as they appear to be in the world, yet have I made myself a servant unto all. See, I can go anywhere. He can go anywhere. He does not fear anything. Why? Because the law of life is with him. He says that I might gain the more. And unto the Jews, I became as a Jew. He's living as the Jews live out in public. But what is he honoring within himself? The law. He's honoring that law. He does not take his mind off that law, because he who keeps his what? Mind stayed on the law. See? Will be kept at perfect peace. He doesn't care what ugly thing shows up. He's free from all men, because these men don't know the law. So they can't harm him, because he's honoring something that's not seeable out here. But he's not afraid to go where fear and all torment appear to be. He says, that I might gain the Jew, to them that are under the law, as under the law. He's practicing the outward laws that people practice as Jews, but he's practicing a higher law. I hope y'all can see that. He's practicing a law that he sees, that he is subjected to. The Jews see him doing what's necessary outwardly. He's doing those things, but he's not bound by those laws, because he has a law that is higher than that law. That I might gain them that are under the law, to them that are without law, as without law, being not without law to God, but under the law of Christ. Can you see that? Though there are people who are doing whatever they want to do, but they're not under the law of God, that I might gain them that are without law. There are some people who are not disciplined to this law. And there are some people who are not even disciplined to the laws of mankind. He's saying, but I have a law that keeps me confined within it, that I might gain them that are without this law that I'm living. And because I can live this law, they are drawn unto me. What's the condition for one to come to God? No man cometh unto the Father except he be drawn. Now you understand why you cannot convince people to get saved and go to church and do. Now you see why. Well, what should you be doing? Live that law. You live that law and watch that law move into their lives without you saying a word. And it will draw them to the Christ. They may not even know that it's you that was used. But it says, your purpose is to understand that law in its totality. Jesus said that you might be where I am. Now get this. He says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man open, what comes in? The understanding of in the beginning, there was a law established to take care of all of creation. And when you accept that realization of this law, it will come in its fullness and make its what? Living space with you. I and the Father will come in and sup with you. They ain't bringing no turkey, y'all. Not bringing ham. What are they bringing? They're bringing that law. And as you accept that law, without putting legs on it, without putting a face on it, without putting a nationality on it, without putting a place where it resides, other than where? Within. It says that I might gain them that are unaware of this law. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think. Now just for a second, think about what in the world is exceeding and abundantly above. See, that's what God is. You cannot define God. You can't show him to anybody. You can't describe him to anybody. Do I keep going on? That's what God is. There are no words. But when he reveals himself to you, you swell up like them frogs. When I was a little kid, you swell up on the inside. Tears could just come running out of your eyes. Why? Because you're awed. How can he be all of that and I cannot show him to anybody? But you can. How? By observing that law. Observing that law 100% of the time. And it says, love the Lord with all thy heart, with all thy strength. Guess what? You'll swell up. What's going to happen next? It's going to pour out on your neighbor, isn't it? You're going to be walking in forgiveness, patience, loving, gentleness, meekness, kindness. And every time you make a mistake, you're going to stop yourself and look at that law and apologize until that thing dies. Now, unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh where? In us. Stop asking God to come and do something. Where does that power work from? It works from your understanding. And what is your understanding? My understanding is that that law is universal, eternal, it's everywhere, and I don't have to ask it to do anything. I accept it as being my guide, my shadow, goodness and mercy that follow me. Oh my goodness. Hey people, let's stop trying to be spiritual and allow spirituality to be what we are. Consciousness is what I am.